Welcome to High Infidelity, the best cheating videos on YouTube. If you enjoy this content, remember to subscribe and turn on notifications. Now let's get into the video.
I'm 22 female, working for a nonprofit, and a volunteer couple, 20s/female and 30s male, wants it with me. They creep me out, and their behavior is starting to scare me. I've been an event planner at this tiny nonprofit organization for less than a year, hired right out of college. My organization conducts a huge event that lasts throughout the summer and into the autumn to collect money for our financing, and as a result, we need a steady supply of volunteers to run smoothly. I get along well with everyone on the team and have never had an issue until now. When I was originally employed, I was introduced to Ryan, 30s male, a dedicated volunteer for my company. I was first cautious of him due to the feeling I received from him, but he seemed kind, so I let it go. Ryan was always willing to assist me with things for our huge fundraising event that I couldn't accomplish alone, and he was incredibly helpful in teaching me about the behind-the-scenes aspects of this event. I was grateful for his advice, but I saw him as little more than a volunteer. Strange thing #1. About a month after this event begins, Ryan starts showing up unannounced in my workplace more and more. He'd come to my workplace and see me after short visiting my boss, 50s M, with whom he supposedly buddies. I tell Ryan that I'd love to speak, but I have work to do every time he visits my office. When I say this, Ryan gets out his laptop or his phone, a book, etc., and simply sits there facing me directly in front of my desk, sometimes for hours at a time. I can't think out how to convince him to go or tell him that it bothers me, and he just sits there. Even if I leave my office, he'll still be there when I come back. Weird #2. Ryan has a girlfriend named Mandy, 20s female. Prior to meeting Ryan, Mandy only dated women and, according to Ryan, still favors women. According to Ryan, he met Mandy at his institution, and she started studying abroad in Asia at the beginning of the year. Mandy returned from Asia in the middle of the summer and started volunteering for my organization's event with Ryan. She's been a sweet girl so far, but she freaks me out the same way Ryan does. I often catch her staring at me, and she continually touches my hands, shoulders, and back. I don't mind if she's looking me out, but it upsets me when she touches me. I've told her this previously and politely requested her to stop, but English isn't her first language, and she's not the finest English speaker. I've expressed my worry to Ryan many times, and he's always said, "Oh sure, I spoke to her about it, but I don't believe she understood. I'll contact her again." I don't believe her since she appears to comprehend everything else I say to her. Weird thing #3. What bothers me the most about Ryan and Mandy is that they follow me around during this event. They follow me even when they aren't helping at the event, which Ryan encourages. They practically follow me everywhere, holding hands like the two identical sisters in The Shining. When we're breaking things down after dark, this behavior is beginning to persist. I'm trying to avoid being alone with them at night, but it's becoming more difficult. Weird thing #4. Now for the real, they haven't told me directly, but one of the other volunteers informed me that Ryan and Mandy wanted to do it with me. I dismissed it at first because the volunteer who told me about it is a gossipy person who is known to stir trouble. But a week later, my dear friend Sarah, 20 female, very believable, who was performing for the occasion, informed me that Ryan acknowledged to her while helping set up her equipment that he had the hots for me and that he and Mandy wanted to happen soon. Sarah also advised me to keep an eye on Ryan and Mandy and never be alone with them. Needless to say, I got quite worried after hearing that, since Sarah never says things like that, and neither Ryan nor Mandy had ever brought this subject up to me. Finally, I approached my boss about their conduct disturbing me after this had transpired, but he just dismissed it and stated it was nothing to be concerned about. I don't agree, but I left the meeting with him feeling ashamed, frustrated, and questioning my intuition. Their actions are setting up blaring alarms in the back of my head, and I'm doing all I can to maintain a safe gap between us, but I feel powerless. What should I do, Reddit? Am I being too dramatic? What would you do in my situation? Edit 1. I'd want to express my heartfelt gratitude to everyone who has offered me advice or assistance. You guys made me cry with all of their love, encouragement, and sound counsel. I no longer feel so alone with my condition, and I appreciate you all for taking the time to read what I said and provide me the assistance I so much needed. On another point, I'm going to bed shortly and will respond to any more postings, questions, or comments tomorrow. I'll also provide a couple facts that keep appearing in the questions. My company does not have an HR department. It's a tiny workplace. My boss is the boss of my workplace, and no one is above him. Not me, but my supervisor is also the volunteer recruiter/manager/boss. I handle logistics and am not officially in control of our volunteers. My interactions with the vast majority of our volunteers are limited. Yes, I am in the United States. Edit 2. Good day, Reddit. I attempted to react to as many people as possible and will respond to any other questions/comments later today. My boss is not in today, and I have no idea where he is. I haven't heard anything. I've sent an email to him about the meeting we had based on your recommendations. Thank you once again. I will keep you posted on any additional progress. Another key point is that Ryan and my employer are pals. I know I mentioned it in my first article, but I believe many people are overlooking it for some reason. Sorry about it, people. I should have made it bold. Again, I'll publish any more details I can provide without disclosing my identity. I don't want to lose my job. Thank you very much. The first thing I did was write a follow-up email to my employer about the Ryan and Mandy scenario, and then I phoned the president of my organization's board of directors, who we'll name Dan, to address the matter with him. Following my phone chat, Dan requested that I meet with him in person as soon as possible so that I could tell him all that was going on. When I completed detailing the scenario to him in full, Dan became enraged and wanted to know what, if anything, my supervisor had done to resolve the Ryan and Mandy problem. I stated to him that my employer had done nothing to halt the harassment and minimized my dread of the situation, most likely due to my boss's close friendship with Ryan. Dan urged me at the end of our discussion to capture any additional harassment and lack of action on my boss's side and to notify him as soon as it occurs. I had a follow-up discussion with my employer about Ryan and Mandy's harassment a few days later. While my supervisor seemed to listen to my concerns this time, he also kept the meeting quick and promised action, without specifying what that action was. The following day, I was copied on an email from my boss to Ryan regarding a phone call he made to him, underlining a few points like don't lock the door to volunteer throw's office and don't utter X words to volunteer throw. I couldn't believe my supervisor didn't fire Ryan and Mandy from our volunteer team, and I sent the email to Dan to express my disappointment. The next day, I arrived at work to discover a teddy bear on my desk with no clue of where it came from, no note, card, etc. I asked one of the office workers whether Ryan had been in my office, and he responded that my supervisor had left it there and Ryan had not been in the office that day. When I questioned my supervisor why he had placed the bear on my desk, he flatly denied it. Even when I informed him that one of my employees had seen him placing it there, he denied it. I was perplexed and emailed Dan about the matter. The next day, I ran into Ryan outside of my office while walking with my boss, and he mentioned wanting to sleep with me, in the presence of my boss. So what exactly does my employer do? He chuckles. He laughs and agrees with Ryan. He up a high five for Ryan, directly in front of me. My employer, like Ryan, obviously dreamed about getting me in bed. That infuriated me to the point that my jaw clenched and my fists clenched like a bear trap. I didn't have time to address Ryan or my employer about their conduct at the time since we were meeting with a customer, but I immediately contacted Dan after the meeting and left him a message about the situation on his mobile phone. Dan phones me back and asks for the complete story, which I give him. He requests that I email him the problem in great detail and promises to call me before I return to work on Monday. Fast forwards to early Monday morning, and I'm up and ready to go to work. I receive a quick call from Dan saying that I have his permission to take the afternoon off, which I gladly accept. Later that morning, I received another call from Dan, instructing me to take the whole Monday off and report to Dan's office the following morning instead of my workplace. I concur. On Tuesday morning, at the time I would typically start work, I go to Dan's office and he brings me into a conference room with 6 other people in it, the board members for my organization. Dan adds that he held an emergency meeting after I continually contacted him about the problem with Ryan and my boss both making statements about wanting to sleep with me, and they unanimously agreed to terminate his contract and remove him from the company on Monday morning. Dan and the other board members all apologized to me for what happened there and told me that Ryan and Mandy had been notified that they would no longer be able to volunteer with my group in the future. They wouldn't go into specifics concerning my boss's dismissal, but they did claim he wasn't cooperative. But I couldn't care less since my troubles at work are no longer an issue. In other news, I am no longer employed by this company. During the difficulties at work, I applied for, interviewed for, and accepted my ideal job in another state, and I have since relocated. So I couldn't be happy with my life right now.